I was talking about school.
And I didn't quite have a voice in my, I could hear it very
sorry.
faintly. So anyway, we're back, and we have Vince Redmond with us.
Hi, Vince.
And we're thrilled. As I said before, Vince is an amazing individual, licensed marriage and family therapist, but also someone who did therapy for many years. He's got so much experience in this field, so there's nobody that understands more the things that a family is going through when we're dealing with autism, when we're trying to do early intensive behavioral intervention, when we're trying to do intervention later. Vince gets it. And I just want to say a little programming note that we haven't had Vince on the show for the last 2 months, and it wasn't Vince's fault. It was my fault. You want to talk about EF problems. That a thing didn't get transferred from one thing to an Outlook because I switched phones, and 2 months in a row, poor Vince sat there and I forgot him. So I have apologized profusely.
Right. 50 lashes with a wet noodle.
No kidding. And Vince has been such a sweetheart about it and not asked for me to go to the guillotine. But we adore Vince, and we're glad that he's stuck with my EF issues. So, Vince.
Hello.
Welcome back. And
I'm happy to be back.
We're happy to have you back too. And we wanted to talk to you today specifically about friendship, because it's such a complicated thing. How you get a friend, how you keep a friend, what constitutes a friend. And I've been saying to Nancy that I think it's really important that we as adults understand that, because we are role models and we're the ones that are on the front line of explaining this to our kids, and it's dicey. And I had said to you a couple of weeks ago that it was when my son was learning the levels of friendship lesson that's in skills, that I was going through a difficult thing with someone that I considered a friend, that I considered a close friend. And it was while a therapist was explaining what a friend is that I had the epiphany that this person was not my friend.
Yeah.
And all the emotion that goes with that. But I didn't learn that as a parent until I heard a therapist explaining it to my son. So I thought it would be worthwhile for all of us to talk a little bit about friendship.
And it can be it can be a painful topic as well for some of us autism parents, because some of our children obviously have a real issue with making friends, and then when they make them, oftentimes those friendships can't continue. So what do you think is the most important lesson we teach our kids on the spectrum about friendship, Vince?
Well, lots of important things. I mean, friendships really are, defined as two different people who have a shared interest in something, and then genuinely share an interest in each other's point of view. They, in each other's, preferences and things of that nature. And as you guys explained, a lot of times, a lot of friendships are not built on that foundation of what is needed. They're there for their own means or their own needs, or things are salient and temporary, and when their needs are met, then okay, well, you're not my friend anymore. I'm going to go bring in somebody else. And that's not the definition of a friend, right? Or a true friend. Now, again, in the technological age, the idea of friend is also, developing and evolving, where there's now a lot of virtual friends and friends that you meet online, friends that you talk to. But that connection is still there, right? That physiological connection of that genuine interest in the other person, genuine interest in what they're doing. And then usually there's common interests or shared ideas about different topics. And I think that's right there the hardest thing that's hard for our kids to understand, due to difficulties understanding other people's perspectives, is that a friendship is a give and take, right? Is a yin and a yang. It's understanding and caring about what the other person thinks and wants and desires as they do to you. And as we know, oftentimes our kids are very egocentric, and it's about their needs being met, and their perspectives being accepted. And that's where we start, right? We start with a shared interest that both of them like or engaged in, and then we build that reciprocation, we build that perspective taking from there.
Well, oftentimes we have the issue of our child not being on the same level of, say, we try often as parents to try and get as many neurotypical kids to play with our kids, but yet our kids may not be on that level, and they may start to do things like check out and do their own thing, or do things that are annoying to the neurotypical friend. How do you deal with situations like that?
Well, I think obviously it varies, to some extent individually based on the child and based on the friend, as well. It's not just about our kids, it's about the friends as well. Where is their level of tolerance? Where is their level of education? Where is their level of acceptance of change, acceptance of not getting their needs met, or compromises maybe not swaying their way. But the biggest thing that I think it's important when we're mixing the typical developing kid with our kids is doing a little front loading, doing a little bit of education with the friends, letting them know, not necessarily about the disability, but this is how things are going to be structured. These are the types of games that we're going to play. These are the types of things that we're trying to teach Wyatt or Jim or Sam or Nate. These are the things that we're going to work on today. So then the kids, are more, understand what's going to happen or what's going on, as well as being able to participate in possibly making it a true, not only friendship, but a true learning opportunity for our kids.
Well, Vince, I want to switch it up a little bit, because I think so often as autism parents, we're so desperate for our kids to have a friend that when they do get a friend, we feel, this tremendous relief, and we want to keep that friendship going no matter what. And then we see that sometimes the way the other kiddo, neurotypical kid sometimes, is treating our kid is not acceptable.
Yeah.
And how do we get our kid to recognize that? And I'm wondering, where is the line that you go, okay, this kid, because I feel like I don't know, maybe you feel this way too, Nancy. Sometimes we have to cut kids some slack, and I feel like, well, they can be educated that that's not how you behave, but you run into things with the other parent thinks it's acceptable behavior when clearly you feel like it's not. Where do we put the line, Vince, about what's acceptable behavior? Who do we say, well, we just can't be friends with anymore? Looks like teenagers, like on a daily basis, are like, you do this, I'm not friends with you anymore. Right. And then other times there are friends that you wish they would say, I can't be friends with you anymore, and they're still hanging on to that person.
Right.
Help me, Vince.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, though. I think there's both, right? In that we want to give a little bit of leniency to, kids are kids, teens are teens, and there's going to be some type of a negative experience in a friendship, right? We all experience that, and we have to use those opportunities as learning opportunities for our kids. That friendships aren't just always rainbows and butterflies. There's going to be disagreements. There's going to be something, maybe some hurt words, or maybe there's going to be times where the other friend doesn't want to play with you or do the activity you want to do. And that's okay. That doesn't necessarily mean it ends the relationship. It means that we need to further understand where they're coming from, or we need to accept that this is something that they don't want to do. Now, giving that the slack and giving our kids that opportunity to learn, there are distinct lines when other kids are taking advantage of our kids, right? They're taking advantage of them for their electronics or their activities or their games, or, they just like to be around them because there's a lot of attention that's given to them. And I see that a lot, especially with the younger kids, because they see a lot of attention that's given to our kids. And we need to, like you said, first try to educate them on, as I had said earlier, what we're doing and what the purpose and the goal is, so that they can be good friends. But if they're not game and this is about their needs, then that's something that you don't want to be able to compete against. Right? You don't want to. We don't have enough time or resources to be able to compete against a friend who's really not being a friend. Those are probably friends that we need to set aside and possibly work on at a later time. We want to be able to build those friendships, build those social skills, build those perspective taking skills with participants that are going to that are going to be helpful.
What about when you have a dynamic with your child and their friend? I have a specific dynamic that Wyatt has with a kid that he has literally grown up with. And Wyatt likes to perseverate and say things over and over and over again and ask his best friend Sean, the same questions, which are very annoying. And Sean gives that a lot of attention. That's annoying. I told you I answered that. That's annoying. I told you I answered that question. Stop asking me that question. Stop asking me that question, which Wyatt then loves to ask the question. How would you deal with that situation?
Let's train Sean just like we would a sibling, right? Or another family member. We want to train him and say, when he does this, just ignore him.
Okay.
Don't answer him. He does this for attention, or he does this to get what he wants, or he does this for a replacement, phrase rather than using, the other language to get what he wants. Let's train Sean. Let's tell him this is what you do when he does this. Give him directions, give him suggestions, give him things that he can do so that it too will fall in line with the behavior intervention plans that we have for everybody else.
And my son is one of those kids that once he makes a friendship, he's in it for life. And if that kid moves away, or my son changed schools, he is literally heartbroken and wants to maintain the friendship. And sometimes that's not possible. What do you tell your child then?
Well, I think nowadays it is possible, right? I mean, nowadays with Skype and FaceTime and Facebook and emails, and right. I mean, we're now in an age where we can actually maintain friendships with people around the world. Now, it's different. They're not going to go out and play. They're not going to ride bikes and throw a ball around or do an art project together. But they can continue to communicate. They can be able to see each other. Now, if this is a friend and this is someone that we want to maintain the friendship, and it's someone that Wyatt can continue to talk to, then I would look at some of those other avenues. How could they maintain a level of friendship using the technologies that would be appropriate for him and his age?
Right. In this case, I mean, just this morning he asked me if I could find the number for a kid that he knew 4 years ago that I think moved to Florida. I don't even have a clue of how to track that kid down.
Right. And the first thing you want to do in this situation is talk to Wyatt. How did he come to mind? What made him think of this new friend?
Okay.
Is it something that he wants to do? Is there a game or a activity or a place that they went together that reminded him of him? There's a lot of context that you would want to try to check out and see, how did he come about? Maybe we can replicate it with current friends and friends that are close by. Or if you find out it's a genuine he popped in my head, I thought about it, I'm wondering what he's doing, then then possibly we can look at, trying to find an email or a phone number.
Right, from the old school. Maybe I can track that down. Okay.
Right, and if you can, great. And if you can't, have him be a part of the process. So then he can see that we don't have a number, we can't contact him. So then he has that experience of problem solving to try to maintain a friendship, but sometimes it's not possible.
Right.
Wonderful. I just realized what time it is, and we are heinously out of time.
Oh.
Which I know. Where did the hour go?
I don't know.
We were having so much fun. We didn't realize the time flew. But Vince, I really want to thank you for being with us and being such a wonderful resource. I want to take just a second to let our card families know what a resource you are, and do you want to take just like a half a minute to talk about some of the resources that are available for card parents with you and with your team?
Yeah, for card families, there's lots of different resources we have. Obviously, Autism-Live is one of our biggest resources, but we have a lot of different resources and books and videos that we've made and movies we've produced. Lots of different things, training videos to help train things at home, counseling services in California and Virginia that are there to help families and family members, siblings, extended members for any different type of counseling needs. Lots of different things, because we're looking at the whole family. We're looking at treating, helping, and supporting the whole family through this journey, because as we've always said, autism is more of a family disorder than it is an individual disorder. And we want to make sure that we have wraparound types of services to help you guys. So if there's ever a need, ever a question, or any type of resource you're looking for, please give me, drop me an email or call me at any time.
Yeah, I just want, because we don't often talk about that, because a lot of our audience, they're not card families. But for those of you who are card families, I just wanted to let you know that Vince is there and has a team of people for card family services, and I'm just really amazed at what you have done with that, Vince. It was something that when we were going through card that I would always say, do you have something like therapy or somebody we can talk to about X, Y, or Z? So I'm just so thrilled that with the work that you have done, and I know what a difference it's making for so many families.
Thank you, Vince.
Thank you.
And it's great having you on as usual, and we'll see you next month.
See you in a couple.